weekly live, also for the recording, so I can strip it off and add it to the platform for the podcast. And of course, want to give a shout out to sponsors, because the sponsors allow me, I say us because of Two Native Sons, but on the side, this falls under the umbrella of Two Native Sons, but being able to produce this content, share it, and be on a platform that allows me to reach a lot of people and share a message and share a story, share value, whatever it is, whatever you find out of it, but it allows me to share it and actually go out there and just play big and inspire other people. And right now, if you're watching the live stream, you're probably laughing at me because, yes, it was cold today. So as we know, I have no hair. And so I had the stocking cap on here. I got the headphones on underneath, so it kind of looks a little funny, but it's all good. It keeps me warm. That's all that matters. So that way I can focus. But of course, with Tabala's Food for Thought with Jasper Axelrad. Thank you, Jasper. Thank you for Tabala's Food for Thought, allow myself to be able to create the content, share it, and just get out there. But thank you for your passion, your love to showcase other small businesses and really get individuals out there to be seen and heard. And so anybody that wants information for Tabala, that will be in the show notes. You can find them on Facebook. Jasper's been on a couple of my other live streams and podcasts, and she'll say that she's the only Jasper Axelrad that you can find on Facebook. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to her. And then our other sponsor, our newest sponsor, is Rock City Cafe, and Ricky and his wife, Angel, run Rock City Cafe. And so if you're in the Colorado Springs area, highly suggest go checking out their location. Go take in some food. It's phenomenal, delicious food. You can tell when somebody is truly passionate about what they do, really has a love for that industry and just taking care of their customers. You can tell a difference. And so had the food there, and I got to the point where it was something that's even beyond delicious. I don't know what word that would be to describe what that is, but you can go figure it out, go check it out. But Ricky and Angel, that is just another community spot. They're very driven on building the relationships with others. So again, thank you for the sponsors for being here, trusting us, and allowing us to showcase them, get their message out and whatnot. And it's unique because I had completed a post, and if you are watching this live on the replay and whatnot, I have included the sites that you can go check out, Buy Me a Coffee. But if you're listening, that will be in the show notes. And it's funny because I had titled it Grab Whatever You Want. And it's this idea of being the artist, being the individual that takes your blank canvas, which is your life, and paint on it, write on it, do whatever it is. If you need to go sing, go create a song. Even if you sing off key, which I do that all the time, or maybe it's a dance. You can go dance your heart out, create the next dance that's all the rave and people want to check it out and whatnot. So go create your own dance. Go do what you want to. Or you become Bob Ross, and as you're painting, you have little happy accidents that you're like, this shouldn't be here, but okay, whatever, here we go. But I had talked about it in this post, and if you can't see it if you're listening to it, but I've got a banana. And you're like, what does a banana have to do with this talk? And it's funny because last week it was the idea with building with blocks. So this week is the idea of the banana taped against the wall. And I had talked about this in the post that I had just completed earlier today on Buy Me a Coffee. But it's funny because when it comes to art, and so this is your life, and you can look at it, and the art is in the eye of the beholder. And so it depends on how you see what's taking place. And I have to laugh because maybe you haven't heard of it before, but there was somebody that took a banana, like what we have here, and taped it up against the wall. It was called art, and it got a following, and it was a craze. And I'm like, man, if we can just throw fruit up against the wall and tape it and call it art, then I guess you have no excuse. But it's the fact that everybody's going to look at it differently. Everybody's going to see that aspect in a different light. And you just never know. And so this is the beauty of being the artist, being the creator of whatever it is. You get to create your life how you want to create it. So you can end up painting and having happy little accidents and growing from that and shifting it to be like that in a different perspective. So it depends on how you take it in and how you look at it, because ultimately this is your artwork. Nobody else knows. Nobody knows where those mistakes took place unless you share them. And nobody really is going to notice that unless you keep hindering and staying on it and it's a crutch or whatever it is for you. So take it where it's at, learn from it, and just paint around it. Do whatever you need to, write around it, create a tune around it, whatever it is, dance around it. I don't care. You got to figure this out. This is up to you and whatnot. But you know what? Those mistakes occurred for a reason. Those mistakes that had taken place occurred for whatever reason that is. And you've got to go and do the deep dive, and you got to do the perspective taking in to see what lesson took place that you can learn from. What is there for you to grow and have that progression to help you reach that next level. And so, excuse me, when you look at it, a lot of people want to get to the point where they try to run away from the challenges that are popping up or the mistakes that took place in the past. And so those mistakes are part of the journey. And once you can get to the point in time where you can look back and look at it and be like, okay, what lesson is there that I can learn from and grow from? And what do I need to take in regards to the situation that took place? Excuse me. What can you learn from that situation? What do you need to do to forgive yourself for whatever took place? Instead of looking and trying to blame other people, it's like, okay, what action, what did I have responsibility was in what took place? Even though maybe you had a 5% doing and everything, you still had some sort of doing in there. And what you can do is, if you go back and find that lesson, you can be like, okay, what can I learn from this? What do I need to learn from it? And then start throwing that up on your canvas and start painting around it and start doing what you need to create that next beautiful piece of art, whatever it is. But the thing is, everybody is going to look at it and it's going to be subjective, because art is a subjective thing. When we think about music, some people love country music. Other people are like, that's like the one genre I can't stand. And for me, I'm like, I like whatever. So I get in a car with you, whatever you enjoy, it's the same thing. I'll enjoy it too. But that's the thing about it. People have the choice on what they're going to accept, have the choice on what really resonates with them, and what do they want to accomplish? What do they want to take from that situation? And so the thing when you think about art, people will look at it and end up taking away that meaning of whatever it is, and that's for them. It's only them. That's their perspective, and that's the lens that they're looking at life through. And so go ahead and paint away, and don't worry about what other people are thinking. Don't worry about the opinions of others, because you're holding back on creating this beautiful masterpiece. You're holding back on this opportunity to potentially reinvent yourself, to be a different individual going forward and becoming somebody that brings a whole different slew of tools, knowledge, the way you look at things to the table. And so that's the aspect of the growth piece. And when we are living life, we've got to grow. We've got to find ways that are going to allow us to grow. And sometimes those challenges are not fun. Sometimes those challenges we don't want to deal with them because we're like, man, I've got another challenge that I've got to deal with. Yeah, embrace it. Go love on it. Go do what you need to. But think about the fact that things of beauty. We have trees, we have gardens, we have flowers, but a lot of times when people are trying to grow those different type things, they use shit to incorporate with that seed, with that planting, to help with the growth process because of the nutrients in there. And when you think about it, when a tree dies or animal dies, it ends up dying and it's feeding nutrients to other things. And so, yeah, the shit sucks sometimes, and it's not fun to go back through it and be like, man, now I got to dig. But what? Things that are beautiful around us, a lot of nature things, had some shit in there that helped it with the growth process. So think about that. If you're looking at your Joyce that took place, and at the time it wasn't Joyce, but at the time it was a lot of shit that was just piling up, and you're like, I can't handle this anymore. But all that shit's been sitting on top of it. You start digging through it, and it's not clean, easy work sometimes. But you can start digging and look and find that seed that was planted. And what grows out of that is dependent upon you. It's dependent upon how you look at it. And this is one of those things that it's unique because when I look at the aspect of my divorce, I'm grateful that it took place. It's one of those weird things that don't make sense sometimes because, like, how are you grateful for your divorce? Because you have to be mindful there's other casualties along the way. Like, I've got my kids, and so when it first took place, they were not happy, which makes sense. It's completely makes sense when somebody looks at it because that life is getting torn apart. And so there's a lot of heartache for other people. But then once you start going through it, you start looking and you get to the point where if people are doing the work, people are getting into the place of life where they're meant to be, and the attitude and the energy that's getting put off is something of them being happy, them being joyous, them enjoying it. That's going to be so much better for the health, mental health of the children. But and the caveat here is when you have kids, you have to take the time. You've got to talk to your kids. You've got to have those discussions with them, because if not, and they keep going through the cycle of blaming themselves that the divorce took place. Because the sad thing is, you hear a lot of individuals that grew up as kids that had to see their parents divorce and go through that situation. They blame themselves for it occurring, which is a sad thing when you really think about it, that a kid is taking that ownership on them, that they were responsible for the divorce taking place. And so at it now where I'm at, and I can truly say that I'm grateful that it did take place, because where I'm at now, truly falling into my purpose. I'm truly going and running after my why. My why is there for who I am and why I'm here on earth. And it's one of those things that I look back and the things that really resonate was there wasn't the belief from the other side. And I've had instances when we were still together that people would be like, oh, you should get into real estate. You'd be a great real estate agent. And I look at it now and I'm like, man, I'm glad that did not happen because with the market right now, this is one of those things where there are more real estate agents around than houses available to sell and whatnot. So I don't know. But yeah, no, it's like when you don't have the belief from the other person, it can be hard. And so now when I look at where I'm at, I'm grateful that it did take place. And like I said, you're probably listening to this and you're like, this makes no sense whatsoever that you would be grateful for it taking place. But I truly am, because I'm stepping into who I am. I've got a lot of different things that are kicking off, growing, and cultivating that if I was still married would not be happening. And so it's a beautiful thing because I can go back and look at all the shit that took place, everything that was happening, everything that was piling up. And then I can look and be like, wow, there's a seed of just some magnificent stuff that is taking place that has occurred because of that growth process, because of the shit that was sitting on top to help it with the growth piece, to help it grow. And so I'm just grateful because, I've gotten to the point now where really in being able to create space for others, to give them the space that they need. And a lot of people need that. The sad stat that I've heard was, as of a couple weeks ago, from that time compared to last year, depression has gone up 300%. And you got to think about that. That's very sad when you truly think about it, that depression has increased by 300%. And the fact that we run into with what's taking place, it's the fact that we have the community, that we don't have the ability to connect and be there for each other. And so it's a sad thing because people are missing out on that, the community piece. People are missing out on that connection piece. And so if we truly open up and we can create space for other people, it's a beautiful thing. And then we have Mr. Blu-ray. What's up, man? Coming in, whoa, with that. I'm not exactly what we got going on with the whoa, but appreciate the support. Anybody that's listening or watching this on the replay, Mr. Blu-ray's on Twitch, one of Patrick's original community members. And so go check him out with his art piece and what he does with the artistry. It's a beautiful thing of what he's doing. And so it's I've talked about it. It's the artistry piece that it may not resonate with you. Some people may look at it and be like, this is crazy. But it's another fact that it's a way to express yourself, show up and really build that community. And I think that's the beautiful thing with the Twitch community. And Mr. Blu-ray, thanks so much. Yeah. No, it's one of those things, just to be able to support each other. And that's one of the things that I really look at, that aspect of Twitch and what can really come out of it as you're growing the community, as you're building the followership, and you can start connecting with each other. It's a beautiful thing. And I think people are missing out on that opportunity, that if you're looking to grow a platform or grow an audience or grow a community, Twitch is one of those untapped aspects. And then exactly by Mr. Blu-ray. So I think Patrick is a big conduit with that piece of creating the community piece and bringing people together. But I look at it because Twitch, they've got a section on there for just chatting and podcasting. And so it's a unique platform that there's another opportunity for people to go tap into this untapped area and find other people that are looking. Because I think Patrick was sharing that there was an individual on Twitch. I'm not exactly who it was he was sharing, but he's growing the community, but he's looking to find individuals that have that growth mindset piece, that are there for each other and giving that support. And it's a beautiful thing, because if we can come together and find and know our strengths and work to build around each other, and we can focus on our strengths, and then anything that we're weak in, find individuals that really come with us and give their strengths that cover our weaknesses, and just build that huge net, that huge community net, to be able to support each other. And so I'm grateful that Mr. Blu-ray is checking it out. Appreciate you and everything that you do, and ultimately just the Twitch community. It's a beautiful thing to see and whatnot. But I think it's just one of those things that when you're going through some shit at the time, it's not fun, and you're like, there's no way that anything good comes out of this. There's no way that I can find a seed of positivity in what's taking taking place. And you got to remember, you're at a point now that as you're going through it and you're in the midst of the storm, it's hard to find. It's hard to find that aspect of what you can do to find that positivity. But then once you get through it, because it's unique, I've got a couple things, another book, and this one is actually written by John Kim. So very grateful because John Kim, he ended up co-founder for the Journey Intensive, which is what I'm going through for coaching and whatnot. But it's unique because of his experience and what he's gone through and his story. The piece of just finding yourself, redefining yourself into who you truly are. But that's where he had talked in here that the journey that you're on is never ending. It's always a process in the making. The journey is something that you're always on. It's always doing. And it's the fact, though, and there was a quote in here, and I'll find it, but you got to remember, you're on this journey. Whether you like it or not, that journey is yours, and you've got to go along on it. And once you get to the point where you can be grateful for the bad things, the good things, and who determines what's good and bad? That's up to you. That's the lenses that you're looking at life through. That's how you're viewing things. But that's up to you. And so there's always things to celebrate. There's always things to be excited about, whether it be good or bad. The challenges, be excited for the challenges, because those challenges are there to help you grow. Those challenges are there to help you reach another level, to have that progression. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. And so life is all about the growth and progression. Life is all about getting out there and becoming a better version of yourself than what you were the day before. So if you can do that and inspire other people to be able to say, okay, yeah, I see this individual and I know he hasn't had the best of luck. I know he's had some situations that really truly suck, but look at him. Look at where he is at, where she is at. Why are they so happy? What makes them so happy? And it's one of those things that truly, it's working on yourself. It's working on your mindset. It's working on your story that you're telling yourself. And it's one of those things that, like I said, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that things took place, because the people that I know now really are part of that circle, of the inner circle that helps with the growth, that helps push and elevate and see the potential in me before I see it in myself. But it's the fact that as we're growing two Native Sons, as the community is growing and things are increasing, getting better and getting bigger, it's a beautiful thing when you have a vision that's so large that it's a vehicle. And I talked about this yesterday on a live that I'd done, but if you can build a vision, if you have this goal and dream in mind that you can build, and it can be very large, and you create this vehicle that is very large and very opening for other people to jump in, it's a phenomenal thing to just see people get excited. Because the unique thing that I've heard in regards when it comes to like building business, the business plan, that's great. Yeah, business plan. But you know what really sells people is when they can get excited when they hear your excitement with that vision, with that dream, whatever it is, whatever you're chasing. That really is what sets people up, and they really tap into it, because that's what sells people, is something that maybe at this time they're not dreaming, but they have something inside of them that they're like, man, there's something more out there for me. There's something out there that I need to tap into, but what it is, I don't know. And so when you're able to share a business with somebody else, and if it's somebody that is just looking and knows that there's out there that they're missing out on, and they just don't know what it is, but if they see your excitement, they see what you're chasing after, they see the vision, the big vision, the big goal, and they're like, man, let me tap into that. Let me go and follow this person and see what comes out of it. It's a beautiful thing. And I laugh because people are like, you need a business plan. All right, that's great. This is kind of the same thing that I talked about yesterday when You've got social media. Use it to your advantage, because the unique thing is when people are in industries and you have everybody that sit down and you start listening and you hear the same thing spoken over and over again by different people in the same industry, you're like, all right, great, I've heard this, but what makes you unique? What is your story that separates you from everybody else in your industry? What is it that somebody really is like, man, I've got to know more about this person. I've got to get with this person. I've got to align with this person. I've got to join with this person. Let me work with them, whatever it is. What is that? And ask yourself, do that deep dive. What is it about you that separates you from everybody else? Because we got to remember, your story is the thing that cannot be imitated. And so when you're listening and you get around different industries and you know people that are in the same industry and it's the same thing over and over again, you're like, all right, cool, that's great. But why would somebody want to work with you? Why would somebody want to have that partnership with you? What makes you unique and different from everybody else in that industry? What sets you on fire? What's your passion? What drives you? Who are you? What's your story? Let me hear that. Let me see that. Bring that out. And don't be ashamed, because it could be the fact that that struggle that you had is what is causing that story to grow, is what's shaping that story. And you can't be ashamed of it, because you're missing out because of being scared or ashamed or whatever it is. And why are you ashamed? What are you scared about? Are you scared about the judgment? Are you scared about this previous experience that you had that has bled into how you see things, how you view things, and now you don't want to show up as your true solid self because you're scared? Screw that shit. Get that out of here. Like, what is your story? Honestly, what makes you you? What makes you unique from everybody else? And don't be scared. Share it. Hopefully you're watching this. Hopefully it's tapping in. And as you're seeing it, maybe you're getting that spark. And go light it up. Because I think I've got an idea for next week's episode. I was going to do it this week, but just, things move around, and the flexibility, and I love it. I love the aspect of being able to podcast and just have the ability to free flow and change it up. So we'll see if the topic that I have in hand right now is going to be what is talked about next week. I don't know. We'll see. But it's unique because when I look at this, and I've talked about this before, and this is kind of the idea that John talked about. But the book that I'm reading, one of the, I think this is the 7th book that I have going on right now. I don't know what it is, but it's good time. But he entitled it "Single on Purpose," and so it's one of those unique things when you think about it. You're like, single on purpose, what? And so I look at it, and I'm like, man, this is one of those things that if you haven't done the work, it can be a tough thing. And so one of the powerful quotes in here that John had shared was the aspect of, and this was unknown, so we don't know who has said it. This is coming in from John's book here. Sometimes you have to stand alone to prove to others and yourself that you can still stand. So think about that. Are you taking the opportunity, these challenges? Are you taking these opportunities to face them and stand up and show that you are strong enough to overcome the challenges? There's times that maybe you need that support system, that you need those people around you. But you got to remember that this is your hero's journey. You've got to go down this journey and go face this dragon and prove to yourself that you are strong enough to do whatever you need to, whatever that is. You got to figure that out. That's up to you. but you've got to prove to yourself that you're strong enough and you can do it. And it goes in line with what I talk about with you've got to complete yourself, and other people are there to compliment you. They are not meant to complete you. You are the one that has to complete yourself. Everybody else is here to be there with you to compliment you, but not complete you. And so that's one thing that really sticks out here that I'm like, man. And then and this kind of ties in with the aspect of why. And I talked about the idea of your why, what hurts you. And you'll have a lot of people that will tie in their why to their kid, or they'll tie their why into their business. But you've got to think about it. Such is life. Things happen. But if your why is tied into your kid, and then let's say your kid has died and passed away, and your why was tied into your child, what would that do to your why? What is that going to do to you? Because your why is non-existent no more. And so it's not fun to think about because a lot of people don't want to think about death and out, but it really does bring into the forefront, the focus that your why's got to be bigger than that. It's got to be outside of that, because if your why is your kid dies and passes away, it's going to be hard for you to focus. It's going to be hard for you. And that I've got kids. I've got 2 daughters. So I understand, like, if I lost my kids before I died, yeah, it would be hard. It would be very emotionally and physically hard to have that happen. But you know what? I still got to make them proud, even if they're not here physically. I've got to make them proud. And so I've got to keep pushing on. And so it's that you get a lot of people that have their why tied up in their business. And the thing that took place with 2020, where people were losing their businesses, which is a sad thing to think about, but it did happen. When you had individuals that saw themselves as just a business, that was it. Think about what happened to them when they lost their business. And if they're like, I'm a business owner, this business is my life, this business is me, what do you think that did to them by losing that business? And so it's one of those things, but you've got to do some deep dive. You got to look at it, really determine what your why is. And one of my biggest things when it comes to what hurts me, or what did hurt me, was the fact that the foundational values that I have is the growth, the love, the connections, and the relationships. And I didn't really love myself. I truly didn't know who I was. And so when I went through the divorce, I've talked about this. I had the story and this idea that I wasn't worthy. It's taken me some time to overcome that. And there are times where it will jump up a little bit and try to open up its big mouth. But I've done the work to be able to combat that. But it's one of those things that why for me is when it comes to individuals that have gone through a divorce, or relationship is soured and you end up losing yourself in that relationship, you've got to find a way to get to the point where you complete yourself. You've got to look and say, look at the stories that you're telling yourself. And so it's part of the Catalyst framework that I have when I work with individuals, is different things to think about. But when it comes to coaching, it is that individual going through and getting from their baseline, whatever that is, to thriving in whatever aspects it is. And so as a coach, it's there being with them, giving them that gentle accountability. And sometimes it's having to have those tough discussions that maybe your close friends and families don't want to have, or they don't think about it because they know you as whoever that is. And so you've got to have somebody outside of that circle that you have that partnership with, that trust with, but it's coming from a different light and whatnot. So for me, it's one of those things that you got to get to the point where you love yourself, you complete yourself. And a lot of us as individuals have that trouble of completing ourselves, of loving ourselves. we're always looking for other things to do that for us, and we're looking outside of us. And everything that we need is inside of us. We just got to work on it. We've got to build that. We've got to strengthen it. We've got to readjust the stories that we're telling ourselves. And so it's just some things to really consider and think about. But like I talked about, the why, being careful about how you tie your why into different things, that if you lose it, that could really be detrimental to you. And so in here, John talked about what's not okay is losing ourselves because we didn't have someone to love, or losing ourselves in the person we've chosen to love. And so it's the fact that maybe you don't know your true self. Maybe you've lost yourself because you've taken your whole person, your whole identity into whatever it is, that business, that relationship, whatever it is for you and whatnot, and you've lost yourself. It's not a good thing. And so you've got to work and to complete yourself. So that was one of the things that really stuck out. And then the other thing was, like I talked about, your journey never ends. And I think that's a unique thing to really think about it, because that journey is a continual process. It's a continual growth process, because as you're growing, as you're getting to one level, you're going to have to level up and go to the next level. And it's a continual journey that never ends. And embrace it, because it's an opportunity to grow and learn and just become the best version of yourself. But are you doing that? Because that can be a scary thing to really think about. And so with the journey, if you decide not to go on it, you're missing out on the opportunity to grow and progress. And it could be the fact that you're getting pushed out of your comfort zone, that you're leaving your comfort zone and it's comfortable, and that's what you know. And so you don't want to leave it because you don't know what's going to take place. And you've got to get on that journey. But if you don't, John had brought up, if you decide not to embark on the voyage, you'll always live in the past. And think about that. If you're constantly living in the past, how do you expect yourself to grow? How do you expect yourself to become a better version of yourself than what you were the day before? If you're constantly focusing on the past, you're not able to grow. You're not able to progress and move forward like you should. And so I talk about the fact that you got to get to the point where you can go back to the past, but don't live in it. Go back to your past and see what seeds are there for you to learn, what lessons are there for you to extract and bring forward. But you can't keep living in the past. You can't keep dwelling on the past, because the past is already taken place. And so that's the fact of, when you think about it, the stat of depression being up 300%. Depression is one of those things where you're living in the past and you're reflecting on the past and you're not letting it go. And so how do you expect healing to take place? How do you expect to heal yourself if you keep staying in the past? And I know that can be tough for some people. And if this is something that's pissing you off and making you mad, ask yourself, why are you mad? What are you pissed off about? Because this is your lens that you're looking at life through. And so that comes in play for, that's up to you. These are your lenses. But if it is something that you're upset about or you're mad that I'm stating this, ask yourself why. What are you seeing? What are you looking at? How are you viewing life? And so you've got to do this work. That's up to you. It's not up to me. This is up to you. And the last thing that really had stuck out, and this is one of those things that I talk about, the power of vulnerability and transparency. Showing up as your true solid self, not as your fake pseudo self, as a lot of people are doing. You got to be true to yourself. You got to show up and be true to who you are. It can be scary because of the fact of being scared of past experiences, and then you have that experience that's bleeding into, and so you're allowing the past experience and what took place to dictate the new experiences, and you can't do that, because this is the thing, every experience is going to be different. So don't let previous bad experiences or experiences that didn't go so well, don't let that hold you back. Don't take and hold on to that experience and then start forcing it into all your other experiences and then saying, well, this experience is going to suck because of XYZ. No, like, let that past go. Learn from it, grow, but embrace that new experience. You don't know what's coming up. You don't know what's coming up to be presented to you. You don't know what's going to occur from that experience if you don't experience it. And so you don't know, because you can't tell and look and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. It's like, you don't know. Just embrace it. Life is all about living out those experiences. And so when it comes to this trust and vulnerability, it's unique because John talked about the fact of loneliness and feeling lonely, but when you're in a relationship, so this is the thing, if you can show up in life, and this may be a very odd way to look at it, but I when I'm reading and studying and looking at different things, it's unique and powerful when you can start an idea that's in this one realm and then flip it and start putting it into other things. And so John says, because being emotionally naked makes you feel alive. So think about that. If you are able to be emotionally naked, how much more would you be able to feel alive if you were able to show up and be transparent and vulnerable, be your true solid self? Don't try to put up this front, all that fun, different things and whatnot. It would be a very powerful experience. Like, life would be completely different. Imagine what you could do if you were showing up as your true solid self. You weren't worried about what other people were thinking. And it goes into the quote of, and this quote's by Vishen Lakhiani, and I have kind of tailored it to fit me and whatnot. But don't be fearful to repel the few, because you'll miss out on attracting the many. And so think about that. If you could show up and be your true solid self, be emotionally naked, and what that would do for you, like, what would life look like if you could actually do that? And just be you, and understand that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, which is a good thing. There's a lot of people on Earth. I think we're close to 8 billion people on Earth. If you were trying to have everybody be your cup of tea, or you were trying to be everybody's cup of tea, that would be exhausting. To really be the cup of tea for 8 billion people, man, that would be a unique thing to really accomplish. But, oh man, not everybody is going to fit you. You're not going to fit everybody else. And so that's the thing that you look at it with relationships, anything like that. You've got to make sure that both parties are comfortable, that you feel comfortable in this relationship, the other party feels comfortable in the relationship, and don't try to force anything. Because if you force stuff, that's not going to work out. That's not going to be anything that's going to be beneficial to you and whatnot. So it all just comes down that you got to remember that life is like art. It's very subjective. What you're doing, how you're painting, how you're writing your book, how you're singing your song, the dance that you're dancing, that's up to you. It's subjective. Not everybody's going to get it. And so if you're just tuning in and you didn't catch the first part, I had talked about there was an individual that had taken a banana. Yes, this in my hand. And anybody that's listening to audio and whatnot, it's crazy. Yeah. But I still laugh. I'm like, somebody took a banana and taped it up onto a wall, and it was called art, and people loved it. Certain people, like myself, I'm like, I don't understand how this is art, but cool. That's you. So think about that. If somebody can take a banana and throw it up against the wall, tape it up there and call it art, and people love it, then you can do whatever you want to with your life. You're the creator. You're the artist. You're the magician of your life, and that's up to you. And so that's where you've got to start breaking it down and start painting your picture how you want to paint it. It's going to be messy sometimes. You can become the Bob Ross of your artistry here and have those happy little accidents, which is okay. Just understand the accidents, the mistakes, the failures that have taken place are just part of your journey. It's just part of what shapes you and helps you with your growth and your progression and whatnot. So let me go ahead and we'll pull up the pod decks here. Let's see, as I'm thinking. But as you're watching this, as you're listening to this, if you're watching this on the replay, any aha moments that you took away from it, share them. Would love to hear those aha moments that you had obtained. Anything that resonated with you, I'd love to hear what resonated with you and what really stuck out to you as an individual. If there was things that you're like, Scott, you're crazy to even look at it this way, share that. I would love to hear that difference in opinions, to see what you're seeing, how you're viewing life, and just see if there's something that I'm missing. Because you know what, I'm looking at it this way, but maybe I haven't considered a certain route. I don't know. And so it's a beautiful thing. And then anybody that's listening to this on the audio side, there's a couple different ways to reach me. You've got a couple different emails that you can send emails to. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, send a message. I would love to hear the feedback. Also, as my family and as the audience, if there's anything that you would love to hear me speak on, maybe hear the perspective that I have on it, I would love to hear that. I would love to see and hear the feedback that you have. But what's going on? What are you struggling with? What doesn't really stick? What's not making sense? I would love to hear that and see if there's something that maybe I can present it in a different light, speak on it differently and whatnot. I just don't know. But it could be one of those facts that I speak on it and it could open up and drop that nugget that you're looking for. But yeah, if there's anything that you'd love to hear me speak on, or you're interested on hearing my perspective on it, don't be hesitant to send that in. Send it in. I'd love to hear that, but would love any feedback, anything that really has helped you out, that's resonated with you. I'd love to hear that. And again, anybody that you know that can benefit from this, hit the share button, share the podcast with them, share the videos with them. The more information we can present and share, the better I'll be as a society, because you just never know what people are going through. And somebody says something that they've really needed to hear, but they don't know this person very well. And it could be just that one bit of advice or a piece of item that they're looking for. So don't be a selfish. Share it out, share it loud, and share it with whoever you think would benefit from it. All right, let us see here. Hypothetical questions. I did a couple of these last week, but we'll see what comes up here. And like I always talk about with Poddex, the app is on the phone. So you go to your Play Store or Apple Store, download it. Also, there's the physical decks. And so with that 10% discount that I talked about, and I have it in the show notes, the LETSGO26. You can utilize that on the Poddex website to receive 10% off of your first purchase. That right apply for the actual decks on the phone. But even with that, I still highly suggest that if you're a content creator, you're on Twitch, you're doing the broadcast, you're live streaming, get Poddex, because it's a beautiful tool that's in your hand to create a different conversation piece, to really get to know somebody in a different way that you never know. And so you can get some awesome insights into somebody that you truly didn't know because you don't ask questions. And so the first one that we have from the hypothetical deck is, if you could design a planet, what would your perfect planet look like? Oh my goodness. If you could design a planet, what would your perfect planet look like? A bunch of beaches, water, but also a bunch of people that are out there that have this imperfect mentality of let's just go with the imperfect action. Also, the let's go formula, nobody holding back. Everybody that's living life, loving life and whatnot. But man, the planet, honestly, it's just sun and sand and water, and just different things to go experience life and create those memories. Even though we can do that on planet Earth, so I guess it'd be a replica of planet Earth, but we just have a bunch of people with the imperfect action mentality and the let's go mentality and living the unscripted lifestyle and off the cuff. So here we go. Let's go. That was very short and simple. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe your planet, I don't know. You create your own planet however you want. So What would be your strategy for a zombie apocalypse? Oh my goodness! You know what? Because this is funny. This has been something that people have talked about before, and you'll see it on Facebook, and people are like, "Man, with everything that's going on, how people are acting." Let me just go hide in the mountains. Let me just go bunker up and prepare. And I honestly, I would just go hunker down in the mountains, give a high vantage point, so that way, as the zombies are coming up the mountain, you just drop it right down their head, whatever it is, bullet rain, high vantage point. So that way, it's coming down on them. But yeah, just in the mountains. So if you become a zombie, you know what's going on. Come find me up in the mountains. Let's see. Now, I think we talked about that one. So there's some stuff that these questions that Travis is great. You're like, are you kidding me? Really? Let's see here. Would you rather be incredibly witty and outgoing, or quiet and incredibly intelligent, or just say the way you are now? Honestly, I look at it, I love me for who I am. And so I wouldn't change anything. And I do look at it the fact that I'm a mixture of this where around the people that I know, I'm outgoing, loud, and sometimes say things that shouldn't be said. But then when I get into a new situation, I kind of sit back and kind of get the lay of the land and figure out who people are. So I've heard that term as being an ambivert, so an extrovert and an introvert combined. And I think a lot of us really are an ambivert. But you do have that side where you lean more to. And so for me, I think I'm more of an extrovert compared to an introvert. But there are times, though, where it kind of goes the other way. Introversion for me is really being in a new situation, new surrounding, and trying to get the lay of the land and get a feel for individuals that are there and see who I can really resonate with and connect with, kind of picking up the vibrations, the energy. And if you don't believe in that, that's cool. But that's the thing, like, you go look, and I've talked about this, I think, on this podcast. I'm not for sure, but the fact that your heart puts off a 6-foot radius of energy. And so think about that. People that are 6, which based on what we have going on right now, that's where people should be. If we want to hug it up and dap it up, hey, I'm all for it. Let's go. Hug, here you go. Dap, do what we need to. But your heart puts off a 6-foot radius of energy. And so people can pick it up. So the saying of fake it till you make it, not a great idea to live by, because people will pick that up. And so if you are going in a situation with, it's going to resonate. So don't try to fake it. Just be open and let people know this is just not my cup of tea, or just don't put yourself in that situation. So let us see here. Actually, superheroes. Let's see what we got going on. Superhero deck. If you could date any superhero, who would it be? Man, it'd have to be Wonder Woman. Especially the lady that's playing Wonder Woman now, the actress. Beautiful. Very, very beautiful. But yeah, no, Wonder Woman, be able to have somebody that's got an invisible car. Maybe that's not it. Maybe I'm getting like Family Guy and all that confused and whatnot. But yeah, I would go Wonder Woman, or maybe some Captain Marvel while we're at it. Even though Captain Marvel is one of those things that, I don't know, I haven't really looked into that. I just know the latest one that they had for the movie series was a female that played Captain Marvel. Those would be the two. Let's see here. Who's your favorite comic book artist? The only one I know is Stan Lee, but I know he's a big one, and really what he brought into the comic book game and the characters that he created and what he did was huge, just for the world there and whatnot. So let's go 2 more, and let's see, where's it at? Oh, there we go. Would you rather? Let's see. Would you rather have a bad spray tan or a bad hair dye job? Well, I don't have hair, so for me, can't really go with a bad hair dye job. But you know what? Like, if we had a bad spray tan, man, I'd just go figure out a way to fill it in. go find something to fill it in. So, I don't know. Like, either way, it's not really, I don't really care. But I guess a bad spray tan because I have no hair. So let's see. Would you rather begin each sentence with "I am the greatest person in the world," or "end each sentence with "you suck"? Oh man, you know what? It would have to be "I'm the greatest person in the world," and so it's that affirmation piece. The "I am," two very powerful words, and anything that follows it, you gotta be careful about that. But this is great right here. I am the greatest person in the world. Man, I believe that. I believe I'm the leader that other leaders are looking for. It's just coming with that belief system, the affirmations and whatnot, and just truly believing in who I am and knowing what I bring to the table. So it's not nothing on who I am and whatnot. So that was the round of pod decks. Like I said, if you're a content creator, you're on Twitch, streamer, live stream, broadcaster, anybody that does interviews, this is a great avenue to really touch on those questions that opens up the door to a person that you really don't know about. And then, of course, you get some crazy questions, and you just never know what type of answers you're going to get. So it's a beautiful thing. But again, appreciate you guys' support. Appreciate everything that you do for whatever you're doing, but truly supporting what I'm doing and being able to create the tribe, create the space for others. If you have any questions, a couple different ways that you can reach out to me. You do have, I looked that up. It's in the show notes. It's an email, but I do have with this one, TJ BD011 at gmail.com. That's one way you can reach out, get in contact with. Also Facebook, Instagram. We also have the Facebook group. So After Divorce, Grace Laughter Lessons, that you can come check out. But those are some different ways to hit me up. So if you have anything going on, reach out. And then I also do have it offered right now where if you are needing help, you don't know where to go, you're stuck and whatnot, I'm offering a free month of coaching. So if you have any questions, you're stuck and whatnot, don't hesitate, reach out, send a request, let me know that you're looking to receive some help, needing somebody to be there with you to really become the best version of yourself, but that's on you. But we also have to do the discovery call, kind of make sure that we both fit well with each other. Because if you don't feel comfortable with the relationship, that's not going to be good, the partnership. And if it doesn't fit for me, that's not good for anybody. So if you do want to take that up, hit me up, reach out a couple different ways and whatnot. But again, I do have the link for the latest blog that I did, Coffee. You can go check it out. I'll also have that in the show notes. So that link will be there that you can click on and check some posts that I've done. That's another way to support and allow me to continue to provide content, create content and whatnot. But like I said, if you have anybody that could benefit from this information from the show, from just the value that's being brought and provided, share this with whoever. I don't know who that is, but so share it out. But like I said, thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for your time. I will catch you guys next week. Maybe at the same time, I'm not for sure. Things fluctuate and whatnot. But I'll be here again next week. And this episode will be up and ready on the different platforms for podcasting, the audio version. I'll have by Tuesday, maybe later in the day, but it will be up on Tuesday. So it's another way to share it. So you guys have a great week. I'll catch you guys next week. Love you.